All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Sports Card Therapist and Sports Card Lessons podcast. Rob and Ken, here we are, baby. For Sports Card Therapist, this is episode 192 for those of you keeping count, and we are doing a joint episode. Big Ken, what's going on, man? How many, what episode number is this for you?
You're putting me on the spot. I'm pretty sure it's 104.
104, my man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And
I should have looked that one up, right? I should have looked up what that meant, if there's any meaning to that one.
Right? Did you happen to catch my okay, so you listened to my last episode where you heard about 191, the meaning?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it was kind of random that I did that, but I mean it was, ended up being, kind of cool. So I was glad I did that. But yeah, man. So here we are. It's July 2023 right now. We are in the middle of just like this massive heat wave here on the East Coast. And, but it's summer. It's summer. It's like all winter. We're talking about summer, especially July. Let's be honest, right? If you're in the hobby. But now that we're finally here, how have you been handling the heat?
You know what? I love the heat. The hotter, the better. Right. So for me, I don't care how hot it gets. And I just met a lady today from Kansas, and she was telling, she just moved up here, and she said, I had no idea how hot it got here. She goes, it gets hot in Kansas, right? She said, but I had no idea it got so hot in Connecticut. And I'm like, yeah, we have our times, right? We have our weeks, we have our heat waves, but if you really think about it, we complain about the heat in the summer, we complain about the cold in the winter, but we have the best of all four seasons here.
Yeah, I tell you, and I think anyone that's ever moved from, the East Coast or specifically the Northeast, anyone that ends up moving from the Northeast, even if they're happy with their move, usually they say the one thing that they miss the most is having the four seasons. And really that's what we have. And we have an equal share typically of like 3 months each, right? 3, 3, 3, 3, of all four seasons. And it definitely works out well. Would I like to move maybe down south or somewhere, maybe out west, somewhere where it's just a little bit warmer, a little bit breezier all year round? Yeah, probably. But I think at that point, I'm just being picky.
Yeah. My daughter, lives in North Carolina, and I've been down there at Christmas time. I've been down there January, February. Now their winter only lasts a few weeks, right? So, and it gets, maybe into the 30s then, and sometimes at night, early in the morning, it'll be down maybe, just like a frost or things like that. But for the most part, 50 degrees through when we're up here, and it's, like 0 or 10 or 15 or 20 degrees. So I feel envious of that a lot. And I say I would love to go move there, but who knows? I may be one of those people that go there and miss something here.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. Well, home is where you're at, and I think I could find, gratitude and the good in anywhere I go, but don't put me in the freezing cold for 10 months out of the year, though. I know that's something I don't want. I don't want to go to the deep north or the deep south. I don't want to go to either, smack me right in the middle. But yeah, so listen, this joint episode with Rob and Ken, we are gonna just dive right into talking about Bleecker trading. And Bleecker trading, I think, unless you live under a rock and you're not, in the hobby, you probably heard of Bleecker trading before. And Bleecker trading, it's like, I can't even really put my finger on how to describe it, even though, I spent a lot of time talking with Mark Zablo last night, who's, the founder and owner of Bleecker Trading. But Bleecker Trading is kind of like a social club. And what they had last night was, they had trade night, right? And they do trade night either monthly or every other month. And last night they did something a little bit different, and it was called the Showcase Spectacular. And you and I were both invited to go. We both went there. We set up. We did the showcase and whatnot. And we're gonna get into all of that and really, what we thought about everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I'm kind of curious, leading up to the event, knowing we were going, Ken, what was your preparation to going to Bleecker? What was your excitement level? What were your expectations? Kind of things like that.
I think for the most part, it was the people. Seeing all the people on the flyer, all the people that were going to be there. That's what I was most excited for. One, catching up with people that I may have not have seen, recently, and two, getting to meet people that I've known or I've spoken with or I've messaged with and things like that that I've never met in person. So being able just to meet them in person too, and the listeners, right? The listeners coming in, and some of the listeners saying, "Oh, I'm going to be there. I'll see you there." So it's always a great time, for someone like me who creates content. And I'm sure you too, when you go to this and like people are messaging you that you've never met before. You have no idea they even exist or they listen to the pod, and then they come out of the woodwork and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna see you there. I'll come see you." And then they come up and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm from wherever," and you're like, "Wow, this is unbelievable that we're creating content, we're reaching all these people." And to me, that's like the best part, when people come and just start talking to me. They know me, they see me, right? I have no idea who they are, but it's the best part when they come up and they just start talking about how much they like the podcast and things like that.
Yeah, so jumping into the, preparation for, I'll kind of start where you did with looking at the flyer. So looking at the flyer, I had no idea what to expect. I've never been to Bleecker Trading, and I've never been to Cards and Coffee, the card store that is connected to them. And we could jump into that in a little bit, talking about them. But looking at the flyer, I'm looking at Basketball Card Guy. He's from Connecticut. He's been a pretty big name in the hobby. Sharon, Black Jaded Wolf, Breaks with Jess, Cage from Lucas Tigers and Bronze, Jeff's Cards, Northeast Sports Cards. There was me, there was you, there was Shayway Vlogs, Nick from the Slab Exchange. So we knew there were going to be some big names there, and just people who have incredible cards, incredible collections, and some of which put out pretty good content. So I was pretty excited about going there. And even if I've met with some of them before, every interaction you have with someone, you kind of get to know them a little bit better. You get to, just kind of, sit there and politics, sit there and, break bread. And I say that because there was food there, right? So it's like there's all sorts of goodness that I know I was looking forward to when going there.
Yeah, not only food, drinks, right? Good drinks there. And yeah, I think they took care of us pretty well too. I thought the setup was great,
Hold on, you're
'cause
getting too far ahead. You are getting too
oh,
far ahead, Ken. You're getting too far ahead now. Hold on, hold on. So preparation, cards. What was your, knowing it was going to be a trade night, right? Knowing we were going to be set up there, did you have any kind of idea about what you wanted to bring? What was your mindset? Were you bringing your big boys? Were you bringing everything just in case a big deal should come up? Or were you like, you know what? I'm just going to bring my low to mid end stuff. I mean, it's a
uh,
trade night.
well, this was like a disagreement we had, right? Going down there, because you loaded up. I mean, you were loaded up for bear, and I was light. I was going a little light. Um, I've talked about this many times over the last few months, that I've put stuff together to drag to national, and nothing is going to, derail me from that plan. And it stayed the same for me. So I did have, a couple big cards in there in my box I was willing to bring, and I had a lot of medium, stuff there too. I brought, some pop culture, pop century cards, things like that. So we were completely different on our approach going there. We went together, but we definitely were a little different on our approach.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I've learned from Tony Soprano, it's that you never go anywhere light. You always go somewhere packing.
Okay.
Okay. That's if there's one thing I've learned from the great James Gandolfini and the great character of Tony Soprano, it's never go anywhere light. So that's my approach to everything because you never know what's going to be there when you walk in the door. You never know what other people are going to be packing. And personally for me, I never want to show up to a gunfight with a knife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's just always kind of been my mindset. And there are people that I might even be in the minority of that, because I've heard people talk about when they're going somewhere, they don't want to bring their big boys that they don't have any intention on moving or that they don't plan on moving. They don't want to be tempted to move stuff too soon, or they don't want to be tempted to move a PC item because me with the stuff that I brought, like my big stuff, I had in my showcase. And whenever people asked me prices on stuff in the showcase, I mean, you probably heard me saying it all night. I said, yeah, this stuff isn't really for sale. This is
Mhm.
just for show. This stuff over here, though, in the Zion case, because I had my Zion case filled up all 4 rows with it open, and people just kind of came through and were flipping through. But yeah, I never want to show up to a gunfight with only a Swiss Army knife. That's the
I
way I
know,
look
but
at things.
there's it's on the opposite end of it. And how many times did I go through a case, I pull the card out of somebody's case and I say, "Oh, this is a nice card. What are you looking for?" I don't know if I want to sell that. Right? So now, and I'm going to tell you what happens, the psychological part of it. I pull this great RPA out and I say, "That's really the card that I want." And then I go through and I see some other cards that maybe if I never saw that card there, I may have been interested in these cards. But now that I saw that, these aren't so good anymore. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to say I've got all these great cards that you can't have, but here you can have these ones over there. But all of a sudden these ones don't look as good because these ones look great over here, right? So I think there's a psychological aspect to it too. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and you've been known to make some really big moves, right? Some big dollar sales. I haven't made those moves like that. So to me, I'm still looking at the eh, just a little bit here, a little bit there. This is what I got, that type of thing. And I understand. And I walked around and I don't think, we saw a lot of heat, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but I'm just comparing to other people, right? I think some people left their heat at home too. I didn't see some of the heat that I usually see in some of the cases. So, and I think, you know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah, no,
yeah,
no, very well said, man. Very well
yeah,
said. And this is the great thing is we could agree to disagree.
yeah.
You if you're going and there's going to be a show or a trade night or something like that, you are thinking like, what do I want to leave at home? What don't I want to leave at home? And I don't want to say like you might want to move your junk and hope to get something good, but I'm not saying that's your mindset,
No, no.
but for
I kind of brought cars that I felt that I'd be willing to move under comps.
yeah.
Because I thought this would be a great place because this is in a great time where people, like it's a trade night, but people were buying too. They wanted, so if I could put stuff out and kind of price it at a comp and then would be willing to go under comps. These are the kind of cards that, I think do well at trade nights, and I've done well with at trade nights. And I kind of, look at a card that maybe I've been into for a while and the value of it's gone up, and I can accept under comps and everybody's happy, right? I'm happy to sell it. They're happy to get it under comps, and we're moving forward from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we've been talking about this now for a good week or so, right? We've been planning it all out. We've been, working our schedule, working our Wednesday, July 5th, 2023, all around going down to Bleecker. So we end up meeting up at our usual spot where we meet up, and you jump in my car, boom, and we fly down,
Yeah.
right? And I tell you what, and I tell you, if you do not have like a best friend in this hobby or a wolf pack of your own to really do stuff with. I really feel like you are not getting everything out of this hobby that you can because overall, yesterday was a great day, right? Going on a Bleecker was an incredible experience. It was great. I would have gladly done it on my own. However, I think by having someone to go down with, right? By having you, Ken, there and just really, how well we've gotten to know each other over the last few years, it just really maximized the
Mhm.
experience and the excitement because I'm not just sitting there driving down listening to a podcast by myself or listening to music by myself. I'm sitting there with you in the car and we're talking about like what are you expecting? What are you hoping happens? Are you excited? What are you looking for? What
Yeah,
did you bring with you? Why didn't you bring your big stuff? Like we're having all these kind of conversations,
yeah,
which little by little is only building that anticipation of actually getting there. So that's why even if you're going to a local show, even if you're going to a local show with 30 tables, I would absolutely recommend either carpooling with a friend locally or meeting that person at shows. Even locally now, you and I will meet in the parking lot at a show. We'll meet in the show, we'll
yeah.
say, "Hey man, I'll see you there," kind of thing, And
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 we'll still we may be even on the phone on the way to the show, right?
yep.
So not in the same car, but still hyping it up on our way there.
Yeah, yeah, just, just really sharing in the excitement. And
Yeah,
I'm not saying, listen, if it don't apply, let it fly. So by all means, I'm not trying to tell anyone how they should or shouldn't be, hobbying. But I know from my experience, I've done it both ways. And I think there's a lot to be said for going on a vacation by yourself, right? Just going on a vacation, jumping on a plane, going on vacation by yourself. I just think when you have, when if I were to go on vacation with my wife or a best friend, those are the vacations where I'm just, blown away because you're having that shared experience.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so I thought the drive down was awesome,
yeah,
right? We not that we hit traffic, but traffic was moving a little slow, basically going the speed limit the whole way, which made it about a 90-minute one-way trip. Whereas if there's no traffic or you can go pretty fast, you could get there in a little over an hour. And I'm talking about deep into Manhattan where Bleecker is from Connecticut.
yeah,
I can get to the Bronx in 45 minutes from where I live. I can get to Yankee Stadium, boom, 45 minutes. But if you're talking about going deep into Manhattan, right, we're over there in the village, that takes some time. So we got there in about 90 minutes.
mm, yeah. Smooth drive, great drive down. And the best part about it is your air conditioner was working great since it was like
Man,
95 degrees outside.
95. 95 in New York City. Okay, and we're saying like, okay, you know what, this is going to be something. This is going to be something. So we get there. I didn't want to have to worry about circling the block and trying to find parking and whatnot. So I just drove straight to the garage. That's literally what I put in my GPS. Boom, I'm just going to park in the garage. Usually I do street parking when I go to New York, but I didn't know what time we're going to be getting down there. I didn't know if we were going to hit traffic, whatever the case. So boom, we go there. Uh, we start heading over to Bleecker. It was only like 2 blocks away. We stop at Starbucks, head over to Cards and Coffee, which is the card shop that is jointly connected with Bleecker Trading. So Bleecker Trading is really like a social club, right? It's just one room with
Mhm.
some tables in it.
Yeah. And
And
a
it's
fridge
actually
and a bathroom. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. There's 2 bathrooms in there, and it's a room, and
Yeah.
it's basically long and narrow, just
Yeah.
like anything in New York City is. Anything in New York City that you go into, whether if it's an apartment, if it's a store, they're always gonna, for the most part, don't apply, let it fly, but they're always, for the most part, gonna be long and narrow. You're gonna walk in, and from right to left, it's probably gonna be like a 10-foot space, maybe 15 foot if you're lucky, but it's usually gonna be like between 20 and 40 feet long to the back, right? And that's
Yeah.
just because that's how real estate is in the city. So
Mm.
so what
Yeah,
were
so
your so what was that?
I was gonna say, to me, what it looked like to me was, it was probably one big room with a back, area at one point, and then somebody just put a wall right down the middle, so and with two doors, right? So you could have two storefronts now instead of one with a common area in the back. Um, but I don't spend a lot of time in the city, so this was kind of a treat for me to get down there to the city and walk around, and it's kind of cool. Like I was thinking to myself when we were there and we got out of the parking garage and we were walking over all the people there, and I mean, I know it's summer, it's summertime in the city, but it was still it's kinda cool to see all those people because you don't see that many people wa even driving in, all the people walking, every time the lights turn, all the people crossing. I mean, you don't see that anywhere else but in the city.
Yeah, and I guess that I was so surprised when you were telling me how you just don't make it down to the city much, and I'm thinking, and I said to you, I'm like, you don't make it down to New York City much. I mean, we're only like an hour away. And then I'm
Mhm.
thinking, like, well, why is it that I feel like I'm regularly in the city? And I think it's probably because my tattoo guy is right in Manhattan. He's right in down in Chinatown on Canal Street, and I'm going there every few months. I'm in New York getting some work done, whether getting something touched up, getting something new. So I feel like I'm very regularly in New York for that reason. Also, my two biggest sports teams are in New York, right? New York Yankees and New York Giants, and I'm a frequent attender of games, especially Yankees games. I'm always, going to Yankees games. And so yeah, I guess I was surprised. I'm like, you're not in the city all the time. Why wouldn't you be? I mean, it's so close. And
Mhm.
and New York City it's such a vibe. And especially you talk about the summertime,
Yeah.
especially once it starts heating up and people are outside,
Mhm.
man.
People on
It,
vacation, people visiting the city,
yeah.
in for the day, that type of thing. I did, my main draw to the city is Broadway. I love plays. I love going down there to see plays. But it's focused. I have a parking garage. You drive to a parking garage, you drop the car off, you go in, you come out, you get the car, you drive home. It's not, and I thought last night we were walking, I was like, maybe that's something I'll do this summer. Maybe grab Sherry and just go down and walk around for the day. Go check out some of the sites and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, it's the New York City is just a vibe, without a doubt. So we get the Bleecker, right? We got there early. So Bleecker trading was closed. How they were locked, I should say. However, there were people setting up, getting ready for the night. So we went right next door to Cards and Coffee and went there and checked out some cards. It's a great shop, beautiful store over there. And Jake from Bleecker Trading, because they have two separate entrances, but in directly in the middle of the store, they're connected, right? There's a little doorway where you could get jump from one side to the other,
Yep.
basically. Or should I say in the back area? I think the back area is what's
Yep.
connected.
Yeah.
They have
Just kind of went out the back and in, just think about a house with a porch on the back, right? With two doors. You go out
yeah.
one door and in the other door type of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So Jake from Bleecker, shout out to Jake. He walks over into Cards and Coffee and sees us in there and just walks up to us, gives us a great warm embrace. Guys, what's going on? Come on over. Come through the back, and grab something to drink. They had waters, sodas, they had hard seltzer, they had beers, all in the coolers, just like hundreds of drinks and coolers, just for anyone to take that attended. And
Yeah.
so it was nice, and so they had about probably 8 showcases. And when I say showcases, I mean just like display cases, like you see people putting their cards in at card shows.
Yep.
Whatever dealers have that they put their cards in to display at card shows, that's what they had. So they had about probably 16 showcases spread out. So there was like 8 inside, 8 outside. And so we get there and they're like, "Hey, you guys can basically pick where you wanted to go. If we said, "Hey, we'd rather be inside," I'm sure they would be like, "Yeah, no problem." But they
Mhm.
said, "Here, you guys are over here," and we had a full table. I'm pretty sure we were the only ones with a full table. I don't know if that was by mistake or because they knew there were going to be two of us or whatever the case, but we had a huge space, a huge area, which was very much appreciated. And we just kind of got set up, right? And right at we were, I think, the first one, maybe the second or third ones that were setting up our stuff. And let me tell you something. It was 95 out. So the humidity was in the air without a doubt. However, we were completely shaded. There was
Yeah.
shade. There was some kind of like, I don't know, what do you call that? Like a canopy kind of going over the top of it. Plus there were trees, so it was
Yeah.
gorgeous. I thought the mood
Yeah.
was like on point.
Yeah, it was pleasant. I mean, when we were setting up outside and we kind of looked inside and we looked outside. It really wasn't bad out there. I mean, temperature wise, it was pleasant. And I think, and again, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I think it was getting warmer and warmer as the night went on. I think, at the
Me too.
beginning, if there wasn't so many people, I mean, I think it would have stayed pleasant out there, temperature wise. But yeah, it was great. I loved the little area we're in out there. I love the spot we were in. We were the big table coming, first coming through the door, coming outside. We were right there, which was great. So
Yeah.
this way we got to see everybody that we knew everybody that was coming through.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And yeah, so the trade night starts, right? And people start filing in. And let me just say this. I don't even know where you went. You went somewhere, but you kind of disappeared for like 10 or 20 minutes. I don't know if you what you did like right in the beginning, but I was there and I ended up doing a deal with Adam Schraman. So shout out to Schraman, and I'm probably butchering his name, but he's a regular at Bleecker. I'm pretty sure he's a New York City dude, kid. He's probably in his 20s or so. And I looked over and he was kind of like, oh, I have something you might like. And he told me, like, he's like, I actually bought this and I got it for this price. And, this is what I got it for. And I'm like, I knew what he got it for. And I'm like, wow. And he was like, can you believe how cheap that is? I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. And I was like, well, I mean, what would you want for it? And he's like, well, I kind of would want this, but I would take this. And I paid him double what he paid for it. And I still felt really good about it. And that was a 2018 Panini Prism George Mikan white sparkle. So that's this right here. So this was my first pickup before the night even started. and I am not a fan of vintage players, modern day cards of vintage players, but I mean a George Mikan white sparkle. How can I go wrong? I think this is a pop 2, only one higher. So PSA 9. PSA 9. So I felt really good about that. Did you have any pickups at all last night?
I didn't. And I'm going to keep saying it. I don't want to get too far ahead, but we'll talk. I mean, the deal. I was trying to work a deal for a long time late in the evening and it just never got done. But no, I mean, I made deals. I sold some cards. People liked the cards that I had, but there wasn't a lot. I didn't find a lot that, and when I did find cards in people's cases, those were the cards that weren't for sale. So it was, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
So
was there. I was there when you started that deal.
oh,
When
were
you
you?
said
Okay. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
there when you started the deal, and I knew you were gonna be there a while. So I went inside and, I was talking with, Jeff and Nick
Gotcha.
and yeah, just catching up with the people inside. Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering where you went because you were gone for probably about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
where could he have gone? You know what I mean? So yeah, that definitely makes sense. And so the second pickup that I had, so a dude comes over, and this is a guy that the guy that works for was it Hudson Valley Cards?
Yeah. Works for PSA.
Works
Yeah.
for PSA, Hudson Valley Cards. Great guy. Great guy. He comes over and he starts flipping through my stuff and he pulls out my Daniel Jones Select Silver Prism BGS 9.5. And almost none of my cards were priced because like I haven't been setting up at shows for the last 6 months really. I've really just been like buying and trying to curate my own PC. So and I don't PC Daniel Jones. Like if there's a Giants player, even if it's modern available, I'll grab it, right? I'm a Giants fan, but I'm not holding on to Daniel Jones. So I had it priced at $70, and he's like, "I'd be interested in this." He pulls it out. I said, "Listen, I have no idea what the comps are. I have not looked at that in a while. For all I know, in my head, I'm like, for all I know, they could be $30." He looks up and he goes, "Well, the last comp on this was 110. I had it priced at 70." He was last comp on this is 110. He's like, you pulled out that Eli Manning card from my box, and I had this priced at, and he went into this long kind of explanation, which was super appreciated because there are no comps on this Eli Manning. He said, so it's a Eli Manning, it's this, it's and I'll show you what it is, what I got, and then I'll tell you what he said. So it's a 2013 Prism Eli Manning blue Prism So it's a color match, PSA 10. There's only a pop 4, and he
Mm.
said he owned 2 of them. So it's a pop 4, he owned 2 of them. So he started going into an explanation as to, why he's pricing it the way he did, and he's like, but if you wanted to, I mean, I would do just a straight up trade for it. And I said, yeah, no problem. Stuck out my hand, shook his hand. I said, thank you for that, man, appreciate it. But I don't know, like, maybe it's from where we were at. It didn't like, I know it was kind of, it had the vibe of a show because it had, we had all these people that were on the Bleecker flyer that had showcases set up, but it was a trade night in reality, right? So it's like everyone kind of had their cards and everyone was just kind of BSing. Mark Zab, I got to talk with Mark from Bleecker for quite some time. They must have bought at least 20 to 30 pizzas.
There was more than that.
More than 20 to
Oh,
30.
there was, yeah, I would say probably 30 to 40 pizzas. Yeah, it was
Unbelievable.
just, and it just kept coming. The pizza just kept coming.
The amount of money that they pour into their trade nights, right? The
Mm.
amount they must have spent a couple grand just in alcohol that they were giving away in the coolers,
Yeah.
right? Then easily $1,000 on pizza.
Yeah, but not any
Easily.
pizza. This is New York City pizza.
This is great, great
Yeah,
high-end New York City
yeah,
pizza. Um,
yeah. And the
but
pizza was right in front of us, right? So everybody that was getting a pizza, they'd look back like we were the one who supplied. They'd look back and be like, "Wow, this pizza was good."
you should have put out a tip jar on the table in front of
Yeah,
you.
says the gluten-free guy, right? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, overall, the night just felt like a major success, even though, like, I really didn't sell much. I maybe sold, a few $100 worth of cards, all small stuff. So I sold some stuff, had a couple small pickups, but overall, it just felt like the night was such a success, because like you said, it's like I felt like we made new friends in the hobby. We were able to meet listeners from the show that we've never met before.
Yeah.
There's other, content creators that were there that I'm watching them just like, people watch our content. So it's like you know, I don't know if you call it a fan, like, but like, yeah, I'm a fan of their content. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's cool to meet others as well that are doing the same thing we're doing. And obviously, of course, Craig, fellow Wolfpack member, New York City Sports Cards was in the house. So it was nice to be able to see him. But just being able to see people who we're friendly with and just kind of see them in person, man. I mean, overall,
Yeah.
it just felt like an awesome night.
Yeah, and it's becoming like, the same crew almost when big things are happening. We're starting to see a lot of the same people at a lot of these big events,
So
which
big cruise. I'm thinking Sharon Black Jaded Wolf,
yep.
right?
Yep.
I know Leighton Sheldon, he was there. We got to meet him in person for the first time. Great guy. I know he's gonna be coming on my show soon. Um, Nick from the Slab Exchange, right?
Yep.
Jeff's Cards,
Yep.
Cage from Lucas Tigers and Bronze, Shay from Shay Way Vlogs.
Mm.
Who else? Did I miss anyone that you're like, yeah, we're starting to see the same faces at these big events?
No, I think that Craig,
Yep.
seeing Craig there. But yeah, I think that was it. I think those were the big those were the big names.
My
Yeah.
guy Bagels and Wax, we can't forget him. But yeah, and we're leaving out so many, right? Leaving out
Yeah.
so many
I mean,
names.
there's a ton of people there.
And
Yeah.
the thing is too, it's like I know what you're saying with seeing the same people because most of these people, like, I can't put a name to their face, but their face, and you're like, oh, I see this guy at all the Laz shows. Oh,
Yeah.
I see this guy every time there's a New York City show, and I'm seeing them. Oh, I think I recognize that guy from YouTube. So it's like, so yeah, without a doubt, I hear what you're saying.
Yep. Even on the other side of the table too, people that are just coming, just the spectators that are coming to these things, you start to see the same faces all the time too. And from where we started a few years ago to now, you're still looking in their cases, but their cases, there's a lot of fire in there. They've grown. Everybody's been leveling up on a lot of cards. So it's almost as if, we've all kind of grown together a little bit, on both sides of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have some comments here. So Luke from Bleecker Street Cards wants to know, what was the coolest card or collectible that you guys saw in the room last night? Um, so I saw that, was it Leighton Sheldon? I saw that Leighton. Oh, Jason from Heritage was there also, man. I talked with Jason for so long last night. So shout out to Jason from Heritage. So I I didn't see it personally, but I know that Leighton Sheldon posted a Babe Ruth card that I believe Cage had. So Cage had uh, a Babe Ruth card. It was a 1922 hand cut Babe Ruth card. So I know that was in attendance. I had my signed Mickey Mantle cards. Right next to us, I saw that there was a kid that had a signed Mickey Mantle card, a signed Hank Aaron card. I had all my signed rookies,
The
on
Willie Mays,
display.
or the Willie Mays signed card too.
Yep, yep.
Like, no.
So what was there one that stuck out to you, like that you're like, oh my God, that's a great card right there, or that's a
Well, for
great
me, I think it was
collectible.
that Willie Mays. Yeah, the Willie Mays card that showed up at the table, because I'm usually not, you know
Oh, you're talking about the 52 tops Willie
Yeah,
Mays.
yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that walked right up to our table. I forget the gentleman's name that had it. And I asked him, I said, like, what do you want to do for that? Like, do you want to make a deal? Do you want to? He's like,
Bob had that little sparkle in his eye.
oh yeah, definitely. But he was like, I'd be high on it, and which for good reason, because it had near perfect centering. It was a
Yeah,
PSA 2, but it had near perfect centering,
yeah,
and really a PSA 2 comps go from like 2,500 to 9K, and with a perfectly centered one, he's going to be up there near the 9K, which is
yeah.
totally reasonable, and expected. But
Mhm.
we also had a guy who came up to the table and he's like, man, love your content, love your show, blah blah blah. I think I might have something you like. He starts pulling out different cards, blah blah. Before you know it, he's got like 6 of the nicest, most high-end Jordan inserts I've ever seen. And there's just like Jordan inserts laid out all over the table. I mean, 100K easy, and just a few Jordan inserts. And I'm just like, man, unbelievable. Thank
Mhm.
God I don't collect Jordan 90s inserts, because imagine going down that Jordan rabbit hole, and in the amount of people, and first of all, they're all, short prints. I mean, even if they're not numbered, they're super short prints. And the type of buyers that you have to go against when it comes to some of these Jordan inserts are just absolutely insane. So sometimes the person that you least expect has the biggest cards, because that 52 tops Willie Mays that you're talking about, the guy is like, hey, would you be interested in maybe trading for something? I go, sure. He pulls out like a red gift bag. It was like a paper gift bag with like 2 paper handles on it, and just plops it on the case. And I look in, and sitting right on top of this gift bag, there was like 30 slabs just like strewed throughout in there. Sitting right on top of it was the Willie Mays. And remember, I made that big reaction. I go, whoa. I said, man, you should have warned me. I almost burnt my hand sticking my hand in there. What's that Willie Mays doing on top?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, you don't even have it in a case, or it's not even
Mhm.
secured or anything. It's just in a paper bag. It was, but so
Yeah,
point.
y
I
well,
need
did you hear what I said to him? I
what?
said, "Is this like incognito, like you're walking in the city, like we're
Yeah.
walking with these Zion cases, like people know there must be something good in there."
Talk about
Here
a
he is walking with
bullseye
a
on
gift
your back,
bag, you don't
right?
know if it's got like a bagel in there or something, and he kinda smiled and said, "Oh, a little bit." Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, so yeah, really good call on that, man. That 52 tops maze, really cool. So yeah, just saw a lot of cool stuff there, a lot of cool stuff. Didn't see a ton of football, which you would imagine, like, and you and I, we talked on the way home, right? So, and this is yet another great thing about going with someone, is that you're we're kind of hyping each other up on the way there. Not that we're intentionally hyping each other up, but just talking about what the night could have in store is just hyping you up. But then on the way home, we were talking, and you said, you know what? You said, I didn't see much football. And I'm wondering if people were thinking like I was thinking. You didn't want to bring out your big football because you're saving it for national, and you were wondering if that's what everyone else was doing.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, and I think they are. I think they've been listening to the Sports Card Lessons podcast, and they're taking some notes there about what they should be doing with their football cards right now, just holding them off till till the national. But I did see a lot of soccer. A
I
lot
saw
of
a lot of
soccer.
soccer too. Yep, I saw a lot of
Mhm.
soccer. Um, yeah, a lot of soccer, a lot of baseball, a lot of yeah, soccer, baseball, some basketball. I did not see much football at all. Um, so one card I almost bought. I almost made a deal, right? This guy, if this guy wasn't so hesitant, I probably would have owned it right now. But because he was so like going back and forth, and here's the thing, I think he really wanted to move the card. I think he really wanted to move the card to me. I would imagine he's had it for a while, and it takes a very niche kind of buyer for that card, but he was and I could be wrong, but I think he was kind of playing the game. This is me in my mind kind of analyzing what the interaction was. So him and I were talking for a solid 20 to 30 minutes. He came back to me 3 different times. We're sitting there talking about it. He had a Giannis Prism rookie, but it's the red prism rookie that is super rare, super short print, and pretty high end. It was a big money card at one point, and arguably still is. But this was signed. This was signed by Giannis, in-person signature, an in-person autograph. It was BGS authenticated with the auto grade of a 9. Now, the reason why I was not all over this, even though I love iconic rookies with in-person signatures on them, there's a few reasons why I wasn't all over this. The first reason is because there seemed like there was a chip in the peeling on the top left corner of the card. And I think that's probably why it was just graded authentic and not a card grade as well. So that was kind of a to me. The second thing was it was an auto grade of a 9. Now, typically, I'm not an auto grade snob. Obviously, 10s reign supreme. One of my mantles is only a 9. This mantle right here is only an auto grade of a 9, 1966 Topps mantle, but it's a mantle. It's a bit different. If I have
Yeah.
a super shiny 2013 Prism, I want an auto grade of a 10. But he was also, so I made him an offer, and he was kind of him and hawing. He tried to get another $300 Dak Prescott card out of me, and which was I would have gladly given up if I was in love with that Giannis. I think by him hemming and hawing back and forth, that kind of gave me an out. And I said, you know what? I think I'm all set. Like, let's hold off because, but here's the thing, even in my mind, I'm like, even if he isn't playing the game, if he is truly not sure if he wants to make this deal, then I don't want to make the deal with him because I never want to make a deal with someone that it appears like they're going to regret. So if he didn't want to move that card for the price that we were discussing, then I don't even want to do the deal. So I was like, dude, shook his hand. I said, it's all good, man. Listen, you have my Instagram.
Yeah.
So now, so you with your card, I know you were same guy,
Same guy.
same
Yeah.
guy.
So the interesting thing about him was he kinda had 3 deals going, right? He had a deal going with you, he had a deal going with me, and he had a deal going with somebody inside. I think it might have been Jeff's cards. And he wanted my, Josh Allen RPA, which I was happy to move the card. And it was one of those, I went through his case. He had a Justin Herbert, um, immaculate RPA, numbered to 49. It was a BGS 9 with a 10 auto. My Josh Allen's a BGS 9 with a 10 auto. Similar cards. Josh Allen was a little more money comps wise. And I really wanted to get into the Herbert card. So we went back and forth, and, you know, there was a difference in price. And finally at the end, I said, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just do an even swap. I know you like the Allen card. I like the Herbert card. I'm giving up a little, but I'm okay because I'm getting what I want, right? And then it just turned into, he pulled the card out, he put it down, he took it back, he put it down, and I mean, I certainly wasn't going to pay any more for it at this point. And he decided, kind of like you decided, he decided he didn't want to part with the Herbert card. He was trying to offer me every other card in his case. Like I was mentioning earlier, sometimes when you see a card, all the other like I may have made a deal with the other cards if I didn't see the Herbert card, right? But once I saw the Herbert card in my mind, that was what put my focused my sight on. And when that card wasn't available anymore, the other cards just didn't seem as good to me, and we never ended up getting a deal done either. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
real quick, Mookie Chilson is in the chat. He said, what was the breakdown of vintage to modern at Bleecker, and was most of it high end?" Um, in my opinion, I would say I think there was probably only 10% of all cards I saw were vintage. I think it was
Mm.
probably 90% modern or super modern, and I think most of what I saw, most of the stuff in showcases in the showcases were mid to high end. But most of the stuff that the general people had that were there visiting and going to trade night was mostly low end from what I saw. And I think that's probably because there were mostly, I don't want to say kids, but it seemed like the crowd that was there visiting for trade night and not actually one of the showcase people. It seemed like the general crowd was like 25 and younger. There were some older, but it did seem like it was like 25 and younger. So you think about what most 25 and youngers would probably collect. It was low to mid end, and probably like the three major sports of like modern and super modern. I don't know. Did you see anything different?
No, I saw about the same thing. There was somebody there that had pop culture, pop century cards. This guy.
This guy who has two thumbs and pop century cards.
This
This
guy.
guy.
But,
So, but yeah, I mean, overall though, listen, overall great night.
yeah.
I think Bleecker put on an incredible event. I know that Mark Zablo and I have talked about, doing more stuff down the line. I really hope to. He's a great dude. He's living in Connecticut now, down in Fairfield County, very close to the city. He's a hip hop head like myself. Younger guy, has kids, so it's like, him and I have a lot in common. We talked a lot last night, and hopefully we're going to continue to collaborate and hopefully do some stuff, whether if it's at Bleecker or even on a bigger scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I would look forward to going down there now. Yeah. Sometimes when you don't go to the city, like me, it seems like it's a big production. So when you're like, I'll drive. I was like, perfect. Because,
listen, I love driving in the city, man. Like,
yeah.
I feel very comfortable doing it. It's like, just kind of in and out of traffic and not driving like an idiot, but just knowing how to go around cars, because cars are constantly double parked in the city. It's just one big double park debacle, right? So whether if you're cutting in and out of traffic and kind of giving that little tap on the horn, the tap on the horn too it's not to say, hey buddy, go F yourself, move. It's usually to let people know that you're there. So it's a little boop, little tap, boop, just to let them know, like, hey, I'm here. So as long as you're comfortable doing that and maneuvering, I think it's driving in the city is fine. And yeah, like you said, man, it's once you do it and you're used to it, it's like, oh, this is nothing, man. This is an hour ride. Whereas Boston, for us in Connecticut, depending on where you are in Connecticut, but I think for us, Boston's like a good 2 to 2.5 hours each way, and
Yeah.
you'll never catch me in Boston unless it's at the Fenway show. You won't catch. I'm definitely, this Connecticut guy is a New York City guy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I mean, like I said, I drive into the city, but I'm not I wouldn't go there to say I just want to go there. I'd go there for a purpose.
yeah,
But now that we've been there and you showed me how easy it is to get down there, I would take more trips down there for some more events down there at Bleecker, because I just thought
yeah.
they did a great job. It was really, well managed, well put on, and I would definitely look forward to going back there again.
And the cherry on the sundae is we got to see, Craig, New York City Sports Cards, and
Yeah.
just really, kind of see the people we
Yeah.
already know. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
much fun, the community. So, with that being said, Nationals coming up, and we're, countdown to National is on. So I'm sure we're going to be
Yeah,
doing a
20
lot.
days.
Yeah, man, we're gonna be doing a lot of content on that over the next few weeks. So,
Mm.
any closing words, Big Ken?
Oh, no, just shout out to everybody we saw last night. Shout out to you, to my road dog. You know, it was a good time. It's a good time there and back, right? You know, you talked about going down and getting excited. I mean, it's just as important going home, right? Because now you get to break down the whole show. And kind of one thing you left out is if you're taking that ride yourself and you get in the car, the show's just in your head now, right? But you got somebody next to you, and you guys just keep poof going back and forth. And yeah, definitely, shout out to you, brother.
Yeah, yeah, likewise. And Leighton Sheldon is in the chat. Leighton, man, great seeing you last night. He said great seeing you guys late, and definitely go back and listen back to this because I definitely gave you your flowers a little bit at the beginning of the show. So Leighton, one of the best there is in vintage. So look forward to doing more with you as well, Leighton. So Ken, yeah, let's we can wrap it up and
You
keep
got
up the
any
great
closing words,
content.
Rob?
What was that?
You got any closing words?
No, man, no, just, I love this hobby. I love this
Mhm.
hobby, episode 192 for me. And I'm just gonna continue doing what I love, man. And looking forward to seeing everyone. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's about it, guys. So take care of yourselves and your collection.
Until next time, be good to yourselves and everyone around you. Take care, Rob.